Are you the tiger? Heart of the flame. History in the making. Locked onto victory. Prep, primed and ready. Focused on the finish line. My journey's not easy, but I'm ready for it. It's my time to be. Your destiny is waiting for you to believe, so be. So dreamers keep on dreaming, stand firm and believe that you are. You got all the power you need to achieve, so be.
I am the tiger, heart of the flame, history in the making, locked on the victory, prepped, primed and ready, focused on the finish line. My journey's not easy, but I'm made for it. It's my time to bleed. Your destiny is waiting for you to believe that you are. So dream and keep on dreaming, step by and believe that you are. You have all the power you need to achieve, so be.
Are you the tiger? Heart of the flame. History in the making. Locked onto victory. Prep, primed and ready. Focused on the finish line. My journey's not easy, but I'm ready for it. It's my time to be. Your destiny is waiting for you to believe, so be. So dreamers keep on dreaming, stand firm and believe that you are. You got all the power you need to achieve, so be.
I am the tiger, heart of the flame, history in the making, locked on the victory, prepped, primed and ready, focused on the finish line. My journey's not easy, but I'm made for it. It's my time to bleed. Your destiny is waiting for you to believe.
The Lewis Prize for Music partners with leaders in diverse and vibrant communities who invest in young people through music. We'll give 3 $500,000 Accelerator Awards each January through 2024 to creative youth development organizations that prioritize music as a resource for achieving equitable individual and community strength, voice, and agency. We encourage youth music programs, large and small, from all over the country to apply. How does this work? First, our application opens on our website at theLewisPrize.org. All applications submitted are then reviewed by our Round 1 external readers. Our Round 1 readers submit recommendations to the Lewis Prize for Music team to review the recommended applications and narrow down the pool. Round 2 external readers review the narrowed pool and make finalist recommendations to the Lewis Prize for Music Board of Directors. Next, finalists are notified, submit an RFP, and host virtual site visits for the Lewis Prize for Music team. We publicly announce the finalists prior to the finalist review panel deliberation. The finalist review panel is composed of young people and professionals who read the finalists' full applications and make recommendations to the Lewis Prize for Music Board of Directors. And finally, each January, our top awardees are publicly announced and we celebrate. That's our process. Visit our website at theLewisPrize.org for updates and resources.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Lewis Prize Music Awardee Chat. My name is Tracy Slater-Rago, and on behalf of the Lewis Prize for Music, it is my pleasure to welcome you to today's webinar. We're so pleased that you're able to join us, and we're excited to offer you this opportunity to meet one of our amazing Accelerator Awardees, DeLashea Strawder, Executive and Artistic Director of Mosaic Youth Theater in Detroit. DeLashea has very graciously agreed to share with us a bit about her experience throughout the Lewis Prize application process. We hope that you'll find this talk both informative and inspirational as you begin your Lewis Prize journeys. With that, it is my pleasure to hand it over to my friend and Lewis Prize teammate, Anne Gregg.
All right. So I'll jump in and just share a few things, and then we're going to turn the screen off and we'll be able to just see each other and have a conversation. Okay, so back to where I started. The Lewis Prize for Music. Wanted to share a few things about who we are for all of you that are new to the Lewis Prize, and also for people who are returning. Thank you for being here, and just to remind us some things. So we are a national philanthropy of $20 million committed across 5 years. We're in year 3 of that funding. Provided special thanks to Dan Lewis, who is our founder. We celebrate young people through creative youth development and really lift up organizations looking to do work with young people around music, around leadership, equity, vision, and systems change. And we'll talk more about that later today. This is our fantastic team and board, and special shout out to everyone who's joining from the team and board today. And as we are saying, we are in our Accelerator Award process. The applications are open now through July 16th and close at 5 p.m. Pacific time. You can find the application on our website, and that is done through an accepted channel. We've had a webinar previously that really goes into the criteria and the nuts and bolts of the accepted platform and every single question in this initial Accelerator Award letter of intent. So I encourage you to access that webinar through the website if you haven't already. We will have semifinalists invited to submit additional materials, and finalists will submit an RFP and host a site visit, where the final awards will be announced mid-January in 2022. Quick poll for everyone here. You should see a poll show up on your screen. And we just want to know, have you applied to the Lewis Prize in the past? Want to know how many of us are new and how many have applied in the past. So if you just click yes or no, have you applied in the past? That just helps us know who's here. And in the chat, happy to know who's here in all the ways that you're sharing already, where you're from, your organizations. Really great to see everyone. All right, you can see the results of that poll there. A lot of new people, fantastic, and a lot of people returning as well. So we're going to get into our conversation. Just one more point for this webinar today. We will have time for Q&A at the end. You can put your questions in the chat, and Shanika will help us at the end with those questions. So put your questions in the chat. And we had a couple questions come into the webinar platform already through our Google questioning. Thank you so much for submitting those questions. I'll answer two right off the bat. And that was, what kind of organization are you looking to fund? And what is the organization, what's the application process? Well, I'm hoping that we are able to answer those questions through this conversation that we're having today. And by seeing one organization's example, hopefully you will see that some key themes, but also cannot stress enough that the big takeaway from today should be how to talk about these things in your own way, through your own story. That's really important, that we want everyone to authentically answer questions in their own voice and about their own work. So with that, I am happy to introduce DeLashea Strawder, the Artistic and Executive Director of Mosaic Youth Theater of Detroit, who was an Accelerator Awardee this past January. And so let's turn off the slides for a little bit and welcome DeLashea.
Thank you, Anne. It's so good to be here and to be able to talk with all of you. I'm very excited for our conversation.
Me too, and thanks for being my friend and getting me off mute. I appreciate you. Yeah, well, wow, your backdrop already helps us see who Mosaic is. So thanks for having that backdrop behind you, and tell us a little bit about who you guys are and what you do.
Absolutely. So we are a creative youth development organization in the heart of the city of Detroit. We've been in existence for almost 30 years. And the way that we are able to partner with young people is through music, theater, and technical theater. We have programs for youth ensembles, as well as school residencies, summer camp, and internship programs to help young people build the skills that they need to thrive both now and well into the future.
Fantastic. And I have to add an extra layer of congratulations. I know you also received a major gift in the past couple of weeks that was in the news with the Mackenzie Scott gift. So congratulations on that too.
Thank you. The young artists are very excited about the dreams that they've been dreaming and what the opportunity will allow for not only them, but for young people for years to come.
And so when the Accelerator Awards were open last year at this time, and you were thinking of applying for the $500,000 awards, What was that like to start that journey and thinking about applying and approaching it from the start?
Yes. So we spent some time talking about it together as a team with our adult staff as well as with the young artists, and really trying to figure out if it was a opportunity that we fit in. We consider ourselves a creative youth development organization, but wanted to, do our research as we do with other opportunities and figure out what the heart of the opportunity was and whether or not where we were headed fit into that. Our team is fairly small, and so we want to make sure that when we are pursuing opportunities, that it is something that is going to be beneficial, not just for us, but also for the organization that we're looking to partner with, and that the resources will help to advance what it is that we're trying to accomplish, as opposed to add on sometimes to things where we don't have really the capacity to stretch.
I understand that. I've been on the programmatic side of philanthropy and know what it means to try to squeeze in one box or another, but to release yourself from that. And I love what you say about the heart of the opportunity. That's a beautiful thing to think about. I guess with the Lewis Prize, what was it at the heart of the questions, at the heart of the opportunity that resonated with you and that said, this looks like it might be a good fit for us?
So the young artists immediately jumped into looking for videos and social media. And the staff started to look at, what were, what was in the application. And honestly, it was the videos, it was the blog posts that helped us to better understand that this was an opportunity that was really about expanding capacity for organizations to dream and to also to be able to do what it is that they do at a deeper level. And so we made the decision to get together and start to think about how we might be able to answer the question to help you all get to understand us better and to see where it is that we are visioning forward.
And some of those questions use that same language. What is your vision? What is the big vision you have? And also in thinking about young people and your relationships with young people, what were some things that you wanted to make sure people knew about Mosaic when it comes to young people?
What youth adult partnership looks like, that centering the voices of young people, what it is that they are most interested and passionate about, how their needs are consistently changing. And so we need to have that same flexibility to be able to be responsive to what it is that they both need and desire. And so wanting to really lift that up and help the panel to understand who we were at our core, as well as what the young artists were hoping for.
That makes a lot of sense. And how do young people and getting to know them, how does that lift off the page? We have actually a video that we're going to show that helps get to know a few of the amazing young people that you guys have the privilege of partnering with on a daily basis. So let's get to know some of the young people at Mosaic for just a few minutes.
Hi, my name is Imani Harris. Next year I'll be attending Northwestern University to study journalism with a possible major in policy. I've been in Mosaic for 6 years now, and I think that the biggest lesson that I learned from Mosaic was how to stand my ground and speak up for myself, which is a lesson that I'll carry with me for the rest of my life.
Hello, my name is Chloe Davis. I am going to Western Michigan University to study theater with a minor in business management. I've been in Mosaic. I've been in main stage for 5 years and in first stage for 1 year. What Mosaic has taught me is not only how to present myself as an artist, but to also have self-confidence in who I am as an artist and as an individual. I have gained so much self-confidence from Mosaic, and it not only has helped me improve as a performer, but as a human being as well.
Hi, my name is Monique Wheeler, and I will be going to the University of Michigan in the fall, majoring in women's studies and minoring in law, justice, and social change. I was a second stage singer for 1.5 years. I've been a main stage singer for 5 years, in total 6 years in Mosaic. And Mosaic has taught me not only how to be a professional artist, but also how to manage my time, how to actually insert my drive into other areas of my life, such as academically, personally. Mosaic has basically cultivated me into the person I am today.
Hi, my name is Breon White. I will be attending Olivet College to study sports psychology and music in the fall. I was a second stage singer in 2014. I was a main stage actor 2015 to 2017 and a main stage singer from 2017 to 2018. So that's 4 years in total in Mosaic. Mosaic has really taught me to just keep pushing myself and not to stop, and just always be confident in everything you do, because you're chosen for a reason, and someone obviously sees something greater in you. So, be great.
Hello, my name is Christopher Lewis. I'll be attending Los Angeles College of Music, studying commercial music in the fall. So I've been a main stage singer for 3 years now. What Mosaic has done for me, it's basically just told me to be the truest version of myself, and yeah, that's what it's done for me.
My name is Marissa Smith, and in the fall I will be attending Lynchburg College in Virginia, and I will be studying creative writing. I have been a main stage singer for 3 years. The thing that I got out of Mosaic is the lifelong friendships and connections that I never thought I have here.
Hi, my name is Elon Payne. Next year I will be attending Howard University studying sports medicine. I have been this is my first year in the company. What I have taken from Mosaic is it's really given me a perspective of my own talent that I didn't have before. It's taught me a lot of professionalism. It's helped me get into the mindset of what I really want to do in life, which I definitely did not have before. So I thank Mosaic for that.
That was great. I mean, I've seen that a few times now, and it still gives me chills when I see it. How about you when you watch that video?
It's always touching and just a reminder of, I still talk to all of those young artists all the time. So it's just exciting to know what to think about then, and also what they're doing now and the impact that they continue to make on the world.
Yeah, I can just imagine. And I'm going to pause as I want to come back to that impact on the world in a moment. But, one of the young people, they mentioned Mosaic helped me just exercise the truest version of myself, which I thought was beautiful. And I know one of the things about the application is that we ask the leader of the organization to write the application. Yes, it's a collaborative team effort, but the actual words come from one person. And I was just curious what that process was like for you, both in terms of the team effort and your part in it.
Absolutely. So I wouldn't say that I am the grant writer on our team. I'm a Mosaic alumnus, and my journey into this role really came from the program angle and not necessarily arts administration in the way that other people journey through leadership in arts administration. And so as I talk about the program and what it means to me as an alumnus, as a teaching artist, as someone who is very much so invested in the the impact that having a safe space and a place to embrace your creativity, your voice, and your own power. It's very different from what I call grant speak. And so really having to challenge myself to be very open and honest about where we are and where we're headed or where we would like to be was a very different process. And I think in going through that process with our team, it challenged us to be more authentic about every element of the process. So it opened our eyes and the doors to opportunity in a variety of different ways, not just, I mean, from the very beginning of the application process.
That's great. And we can actually have an interactive moment in this webinar right now. Here's the prompt for everyone. Either youth leadership, the truest version of myself, empowering young people. What authentic words do you use with your organization that both honor who young people are and say where you're going? What's your vision for young people? Put it in the chat. The point is, let's see how many different words and how many different ways there are to really honor the best of who young people are. And we want to hear that in everyone's authentic voice. So while we're talking, put that in the chat so we can really see the power that everyone has within their own story. Creative expression and storytelling. Beautiful. Creative autonomy. Great. Keep those coming. Heritage knowledge. Transforming lives through music. Great. As people are continuing with that, DeLashea, I was thinking, you know, what you said in response to the video about young people and their impact on the world. And one of the things that the Lewis Prize for Music application does ask people to think about is systems change. So I was just curious, what systems change, what does that mean to you? And what does that mean at Mosaic?
Yeah, so for us, system change is about how all things come together in order to move communities, young people, the world forward. And honestly, this was one of the questions that we wrestled with a bit because we weren't sure that how we view what it is that we do necessarily fit into common definitions of systems change. And what we leaned into was that we do intersect in a variety of different ways because our approach is to meet the needs of the young person as well as the young people. And not every young person needs the same level of support for all things. And so it's something that we think about a lot, and we try to partner strategically and intentionally to make sure that we're meeting those needs.
That actually points to a question we got in advance. Someone said, if we work with 30 young people, can we apply? And I was thinking about it, you know, if there were parents and you said to guardians, parents, how many children do you have? And they said 30, that would be high impact, right? What you're saying about the holistic care of young people and really acknowledging their truest self, who they are, and what that intersection is with the way communities and cities and all of us move together. We're really interested in hearing what that means for people. Yeah, any response to any of that in thinking back to your own experience?
I mean, that was one of those moments where we decided that we're gonna tell our story, right? We're going to be honest about who we are, how we are moving forward, and what it is that we desire to see changed. And when I say we, that isn't just our staff team, that's also the young artists, it's our community partners. We don't serve, 5,000 young people in our youth ensembles. Our what people term as high dosage programs serve anywhere between 100 to 300 young people a season. And then we have various other programs that we're able to connect with young people and families. And all of that is important. There are lots of young people that need support, and it needs to go deep and it needs to go wide.
That's great. And I know you and I have had really interesting conversations about how systems change can move in young people's lives, but then also in our civic systems. And one of the things that we try to do in the definition of systems change is be as broad and encompassing as possible, with some directive. And so there is a macro side of our definition pointing to who we are as human beings, and a civic side as to how all the cogs in the wheels of civic systems work together. And you and I have talked a lot about that, and also just about transportation in the lives of young people, which I know is one of the things that, from a civics perspective, you guys are thinking about.
Transportation, absolutely. In Detroit, we don't have a mass public transit system in the ways that other larger cities do. In addition to that, really thinking about education access and career exploration and career pathways, all of those things are topics and opportunities that the young people want to further explore. And so we do what we can to make all of those connections, and not just one time, but long term, because once they start to go and further research opportunities, they want to know more, and then those connections need to change. It's not just about exposure, it's also about access. It's also about equity of opportunity, and wanting to make sure that they have those things.
I love what you're saying about over time. That makes a lot of sense. To that point of learning things over time, two questions that have come up that maybe this is a good time to answer them before Q&A at the end, but we will answer more at the end. One is, I saw in the chat, someone said, does the Accelerator Award fund brand new programs? There are criteria about how long the program and the work has been in existence, as well as the leader of the work being in place from 2019. So I would say new programs, yes, within the criteria, and you can find those on the website much more specifically. And someone also asked, can programs in the early stages, without a lot of the details ironed out, apply? DeLashea, when you guys applied to the Lewis Prize, did you feel like you had everything figured out?
We applied during the height of the COVID-19 pandemic. I would say we were far from figuring anything out. we are still figuring things out, and things continue to change. And as I mentioned earlier, being adaptive and forward thinking all at the same time, if you will, I think is extremely important for this kind of work.
That makes a lot of sense. And yes, wow, that's right. I had forgotten the timing of things. The time must feel different now in different ways for you.
It does. We're learning daily.
Learning daily, yeah. And that's something that the Lewis Prize for Music cares about, is not what is your process, what is your pedagogical process in your teaching and learning, but also what is your process of making decisions and making decisions with young people, making decisions as a community, making decisions equitably. And that's something that I know in our systems change definition, this year, for the first time, we included ourselves at the Lewis Prize for Music, understanding that systems change is about how we all move forward together. And the Lewis Prize for Music this year has embarked in some racial equity work to look at ourselves, that we know if we're going to contribute to systems change and be thought partners with organizations, we have to do the work too. So that's a lot that we just talked about. And it was all packed into a letter of intent. So I know upon reading your letter of intent, a few readers, and the Lewis Prize for Music hires external readers to look at all of the letters that come in. People said, yes, let's pass Mosaic through. And from that point became a semifinalist and then a finalist, where there were two other parts of the process that I just wanted to touch on. One was an RFP, which was a much more extensive written application, and the other was a site visit, where we did a virtual site visit with you and got to know many people from the Mosaic family through that site visit. Just curious your thoughts on both parts of that process of the application.
Yeah, so the site visit was probably hands down our favorite. We love inviting people into our home and really giving them a Mosaic experience. The young artists were very adamant that they wanted to take the folks who came to the site visit through a Mosaic rehearsal process to some degree, and everybody fully participated, and it tickled them absolutely to the moon. And then the RFP, you know, the questions in the RFP gave us an opportunity to go even deeper, to be very transparent about the areas that we were struggling with, what our thoughts were about how we might approach navigating those challenges, and also giving us an opportunity to think about partnership in a very different way. And you know, even as I said earlier, going through this process informed how we were having conversations with at that time current and potential partners. And it really changed the dynamic of conversations and the intentionality behind with which we had those conversations, which was very empowering for us as a team. And so I'm hugely grateful for that.
I remember one moment in the site visit that stood out to me was a young person who was taking on us on a tour of the facility, stopped and looked at a picture on the wall. And it was a picture of you when you were a young person at Mosaic. And she said, I say hello to the young DeLashea every day. And that she was so proud to point out that picture. And to me, I say that because I think with you, it's so clear that your own personal journey, but also your commitment to young people and that authentic care of who they are, just shines through every day and continues to shine through as we are thought partners in this work together. And so, you know, we were very honored to be able to have the award go to Mosaic. And what was it like receiving, and what is it like been like since receiving the award?
I totally lost all professionalism and cried for a good little while when I received the phone call. Having that level of investment in not only who we are, but what it is that we're trying to do, um, gives you a completely different view of yourself in a lot of different ways. The young artist talked about how important it was for the moment in time that we were in as an organization, that we were in as people in the world, and how we were trying to show up for our communities, how we were trying to show up for other young people. Um, and I will say from the very beginning of the experience, even until this very moment, I know that if I reach out because I have a question about anything, as we're dreaming big and being bold about pursuing the vision and the future of the organization, that I have an extended Mosaic family, if you will, that is willing to not only challenge me, but also encourage me and us in this work. And that means a great deal.
And likewise, I have learned so much from you in our conversations about the work itself, but also what it means for funding and programmatic partners to work together. And also from the Lewis Prize for Music standpoint, what is the community of practice that we can all be a part of with you and with other awardees? And so we have some learning labs where we come together and learn from each other. We have some professional development support that we offer up. We look to highlight your amazing work and amplify it in different ways, through essays, through videos, through research. So can't thank you enough for all the things that we learn from you on a daily basis. Well, you and I could talk all day, but we do have to end soon. And so I do want to turn it over to everyone who's on this webinar. And let's answer some questions from the group. So I'm going to invite my amazing colleague, Shanika, into the webinar room. Hey, Shanika. And Shanika is going to help us with questions.
Yes, hello, everyone. Just such a great and awesome, insightful conversation so far. Thank you, DeLashea. Thank you, Anne. And I posted it in the chat, but if you do have any questions, specific questions, we invite you to put it in the Q&A, and we'll be happy to answer them the best we can. The first question that has arrived is, how established do groups need to be considered?
I'll answer that one. I believe the criteria is that the work has to have been happening for 5 years. I have some colleagues on the line if I'm wrong, but I'm fairly confident that that is right. And as I said, the leader needs to be in place since 2019. And so that is the criteria. You can apply with fiscal sponsorship, and that's an important piece, that if the work has been happening with young people, but you didn't formalize as an organization until very recently, that's fine. And I would say if you are asking that question directly here today or have that question, please reach out to us, and we would love to talk one-on-one to make sure that we're really addressing your question specifically.
And there's a follow-up, which is, does that sense of established timing, does that also include the Infusion Award? So if you are interested in an Infusion Award, do you have to have that amount of time on your belt as it relates to the programming?
Great question. So the Accelerator Award is one process, And finalists who do not receive the Accelerator Award of $500,000 do receive infusion and finalist awards. So it is one process. There isn't a separate application process for those other awarding levels. And someone just said, say that one more time about leadership. Yes, 2019. And our definition of leader is someone who reports to the board of directors.
Thank you. Thank you. And we're still waiting for some questions. But as we wait, I'll just pull a question that has also come up for DeLashea in terms of leadership. What did it look like for you navigating from being an alum of the program into this leadership position that you have today?
Certainly. So Mosaic's model includes autonomy from adults. And so from the time that I started as a company member, there were plenty of opportunities that I had to lead, to push back, if you will. If you ask Ken Anderson, he'll tell you a lot about that. And so the journey was one that I did not necessarily vision forward for myself. Just because, you know, I was thinking about being an obstetrician, and apparently that wasn't in the cards for me. My journey was kind of twisty-turny as I learned that I had a gift for teaching, distilling information, and sharing it in a way that made people feel seen and heard. And so as I moved from a youth in the program as a leader, had several opportunities in my young adult life to start leading other programs with the organization and for the organization, and then matriculated from there to the Associate Artistic Director, and then the Associate Artistic Director and Director of Music Programs, and then into the Artistic Director role before this seat.
That's amazing. And I'm just curious, kind of piggybacking off of that, what are some of the big dreams in front of you guys right now? What are some of the things that you're dreaming and seeing happen, that young artists are dreaming and seeing happen?
Yeah, so one of the things that the young artists are talking a lot about right now is creating more, or seeing more clearly, the pipeline and opportunities for young people to lead in the arts and culture sector, not just on the stage, but behind the scenes, wanting to see more diversity in music composition, in producing of musicals, and more music copyists. They want to see themselves represented in many more facets of the work than they are seeing right now. Wanting to see more young people aware of and have access to creative youth development programming, not just in Detroit and the surrounding area, but globally. And really wanting young people to understand that that they aren't the leaders of tomorrow, they are leaders now, and wanting to see adults honor them for their lived experience right now in this moment, and begin to encourage and create space for them as they continue to journey forward.
That's awesome. It's really awesome. The next question that has just come in is, can you share a little bit more about your music programs? Do your young people travel outside of Detroit?
So for Mosaic, yes, I can. We have what we call our Mosaic singers, because we aren't a traditional choir in the sense that we don't focus on one particular genre of music. The young artists can enter the program as young as 3rd grade, and then stay with the organization through their senior year of high school. And then we also walk alongside them in undergrad or whatever their next stage is. And we're working to formalize that even further and to be able to be partners with them longer term through some of the support from the Lewis Prize for Music. We work on music that is both contemporary in nature as well as traditional. There are works that the young artists write, but they are also very much so interested in learning about what most people consider traditional concert choir music. There are concerts where literally we've done everything from Bach to Beyonce. And they've been writing a lot over the last year and releasing music on social media channels. In the nearly 30-year history, we've traveled to Africa, Asia, Europe, and 25 states throughout the US and Canada.
This is a great segue question. Someone asked what was the song played at the beginning of the webinar an original, and can the sheet music be purchased?
It is an original. We taught it to each other by rote. And so there isn't any music, sheet music, but I'll talk to them about that and see whether or not they want to put it down on paper.
Definitely. This next question, we talked about it a little earlier in the conversation, but it's about that flexibility and adjusting programming and things of that nature to really serve and be as impactful as possible. This question specifically says, what if the youth enrichment programs have been going on for 5+ years, but the direction is changing?
I would say trust your story. Tell us where you're going and why. And if your vision, really tells us something great about who you are, follow that lead. Get to the heart. DeLashea, what did you say at the beginning? Get to the heart of what's happening.
I believe that you're in it, right? And so you know what is needed in this moment. And I think trusting that is extremely important, because you're not going to decide not to do it that way if that's what needs to happen. You're inviting people along in that journey and to be a part of that.
I love that. And I think that's really important. And I know I've been in a few conversations with people considering applying, or, do they meet criteria? Don't bend to meet this application. As DeLashea just said, invite us into getting to know you for who you are and where your community and young people say you need to go.
That's beautifully said. I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is partnership. We are partners, and so we consider ourselves to be on the same level playing field in terms of just that working together to achieve the goals that we have like-mindedly. And so really, really great thoughts and sentiments, and it's just really great to have this kind of conversation. I'm looking through the chat. I'm not seeing any more questions at the moment. But if anything comes up, I'll let you guys know. Also, if you do have any additional questions after the chat, please reach out to us. We have people on our team who are excited to connect and be as helpful as possible during this application process and season. And I see Anne just popped in the chat, info@theLewisPrize.org.
If you also, Shanika and I can also get you to the right people. I'm Anne at theLewisPrize.org. She's Shanika at theLewisPrize.org. My colleagues Tracy and DeLuge are here as well. You can reach out to any of us. We do have one final video of some amazing music, so don't go away in these last 5 minutes. DeLashea, anything that you want to say or just lift up as we come into the end?
I'm grateful for all of you who are continuing to champion with and for young people. And I'm excited about all of the work that we are going to do together to leave the world better than the way that we came into it.
So true. And to get to know your part today, thank you so much for sharing your story. All right, these are our last minutes. Stay in touch with us. The application is open through July 16th, 5 p.m. Pacific. There are 2 other webinars that we presented earlier in this process. One is on the application itself, the criteria, the nuts and bolts. And the other is a really wonderful conversation with Amira Burns from St. Louis Story Stitchers Artist Collective and Selena Miranda from Hyde Square Task Force, talking about systems change. And if that is something that you're looking at in the application and you want to hear, in addition to how DeLashea talked about systems change, 2 other examples, check out that webinar as well. All right, DeLashea, we've got one last song. Do you want to set this up and tell people what we'll hear?
Absolutely. So this is Speak for the Trees. It is a song that was written by youth artists in our Ambassador Track program, and they created it in honor of Earth Day because they are hoping that we will all make different choices so that the earth can be its best for generations to come.
Mama used to tell me stories of a time before, with rolling hills and clear skies, the setting of her lore. She writes soliloquies of the ocean breeze, hypnotized by the green of the trees. She's gotta see her baby, got no air to breathe. Was it my fault? Could I've done something to stop the inevitable? My heart is heavy with the weight I shouldn't bear. You equivocate, you stole my fate. To you, I'm just a case looking up at the thick gray skies, foggy teary eyes. Couldn't you possibly see how bad this could be? You spoke for the trees, and I speak for me. My lungs are scorched with this earth you torched. What you took for granted, you ran, burnt and rancid. Was it my fault? Could I've done something to stop the inevitable? My heart is heavy with the weight I shouldn't bear. You equivocate, you stole my fate. To you, I'm just a case looking up at the thick gray skies, foggy teary eyes. And now I can't explain, my heart's filled with pain. You speak for the trees, and I speak. I
speak for today, for tomorrow, for the youth. I speak for the actions you find so uncouth. The truth is, I am the one, I am the blueprint. Say I need to chill, well honestly the truth. May we do this together, stand for what's better. Pen to my paper and write a new letter, a new law, a new way rise, seeing a new day. I was to the sky, I'm scared of what I'll be.
Thick gray skies, foggy, teary eyes. Couldn't you possibly see how bad this could be? You spoke for the trees, and I speak for me.
Truest version of ourselves. Thank you, DeLashea. Thanks everyone for being here. Take care.